can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, Don, I feel a little more confident today. Could I just say that we've started this without... There's a cast of thousands coming in today.
Who's coming in?
We could do this for 3 hours today. Well, we've got Ivan. Ivan's got over the top of his skis a bit, Ivan.
I thought he might have been in Sydney.
No. He's I think Dr. Ben.
No
Forden.
show without punch.
So Ivan, and then Max is coming in to do a bit of sport.
Oh, Maxie! Will he wear his shorts today? He's a clone for you.
I watched some football because I was a captive audience. Will you wait till I get on to why I went up to Bribie Island, anyhow. I went up to Bribie Island and I was a captive audience. Jack, my son, and Max, my other son, they're obsessed with the football. So I watched 2 games of football. You wait till I tell you what no one ever mentions.
What the Newman boys got together?
Yeah, because I went up...
Are there any other little Newmans around?
I went up...
Hey,
hang on.
Are there any others we don't know about?
I went up to see a friend of mine in Bribie Island.
I thought
who is actually my
Jordan.
son. Yeah, he's my son.
Yeah, well, there's 4 Newman
and
boys
together. And he turned
together.
40. You wait till I tell you about Bribie Island.
I remember he was born, 40.
Yeah, 40. You wait till I get on to Bribie Island. But
remember, Jack was born. He was born in Cabrini Hospital.
Well, what's it matter?
Well, I remember because we played a game of football at Waverley and we went in and saw him.
Don.
Anyway, keep going.
It's going well because, did I mention, the cadence bars have started to appear again on the tablet.
So
here.
You're happy?
Well, I am because it seems to be working.
You're in a good mood. You've been on the marijuana oil?
No, so.
Now, what the heavy shit where, you get...
Don, shut up. Listen. Doctor, there's 3 doctors we're mentioning. Dr. McCusker, Barney.
Ben Boyang.
He wrote, he's a letter writer. Which is good, isn't it?
He wrote to Jacinta Allen, the Deputy Premier, when she was Transport Minister.
He prints when he writes. He thinks that we might be dyslexic or can't read. Or because doctors have
dyslexic.
Well, autistic, is it? Or I'm not knocking people who are dyslexic or autistic, but
Barney might be dyslexic.
He might think that we are. And anyhow, he wrote and he said he loved the interview with Kate Save.
Now... She was a very, very impressive young lady. Young lady.
She was an impressive person, Don. She might be non-binary. You don't know.
You think so? We should have asked her that. Because what she gave a sample... Now, hang on. So. I'm being serious here for a moment. Right. Because I went looking for, I was going to say her balls. But Be Fit Foods...
She could be non-binary, Don.
Be Fit Foods make protein balls. She gave me a couple.
We mentioned this last week. Is this an unsolicited ad?
No, because I went home and I sampled them.
Yes.
And usually, as I said to you before, this food you get that's already cooked and processed doesn't taste. But these balls are really very, very nice.
Well, that's why she's in business, Don.
Well, then I went onto the website and they make breakfast, lunch, dinner, and there's a variety.
Yes, a variety.
There must be at least 10 different options on the menu.
There is. So Kate Save Be Fit Food. You can look it up.
And it's good that young people like her are having a go in business too.
So then, I'm only mentioning this because we got a lot of inquiries about that, and I keep getting
about who? Kate?
About Kate Saves Food. And Be Fit Foods.
Be Fit Food, it's called.
Right, I know what it's called. And then I get a lot of inquiries about James Stewart. Do you know who he is? He's a doctor.
The marijuana guy.
And they say, they keep asking us, does the marijuana oil work?
It's working. Listen, it's working for me.
So that's all people
I'm riding 2 horses a day. I'm sleeping better.
Okay, Don.
And I'm up and about.
So... we can only say what it does for us. We're not trying to convince...
How's your fist? Can you still clench your fist?
Yes, I could punch you in the head.
No, just shut up. No, I'm being serious because you couldn't...
Yes, no, I could.
Well, what else is it? How else is it helping
Anyhow, so Dr. James Stewart, don't keep asking me about or us about the marijuana oil. If you want to know about it, ring up Dr. James Stewart. He's
know
moved.
about
He's
it.
moved to the Bahamas. He's got a house in the Bahamas since we've mentioned Dr. James Stewart with the marijuana oil. And this is a shout out. This is not a shout out as such, but an ex-politician, I think, and a man called Jeff Shaw from down your way.
Jeff Shaw.
Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw. He was in the Liberal Party, was he? Or he went into an independent. Anyhow,
yes, from Frankston. He got into a bit of trouble.
Well, whatever he got into, he wrote a book about the Andrews government. And I'm just saying this now because he said he sent it to me. He rang me up. And I'm saying, if you hear this, Jeff, I haven't got your phone number and I can't tell you that I haven't received the book. That's why I haven't got back to you. I don't know other way how to get in touch with you. So if someone hears that I mentioned Jeff Shaw, maybe he could ring me up again. So they're the shout-outs, right?
No, well, I've got one. What a shout-out.
Well, I hope that Doc...
Oliver Walsh.
I hope Doc... Fordham, who's coming on at 9:00, doesn't matter what time he's coming on, hope he doesn't hear that we're doing the shout-outs early because he doesn't like that. And if he's going to condescend to come on...
So we've got to keep him happy?
Well, we want the main man coming on every other week.
Has he got pull in Australia? Because...
Has he got what?
Pull in Australia.
My word, he has.
Scott Morrison went on his show and was interviewed. He wouldn't give an interview to anyone else except Ben Fordham.
Because he's credible and he's good
I'm
at it.
I'm going to ask him this.
That's why he's number one up there. Neil's number one down here.
Neil
Armstrong, the bloke who landed on the moon. What?
He went to the moon.
Yeah.
Well, so Neil who?
Neil Mitchell.
Neil
Mitchell. He's number one here.
Is he?
Absolutely. What? Is that information to you that you didn't hitherto know? Go on, anyhow. So,
well, what about your shout out, Oliver Walsh? Now he's a young boy. Now shut up. Just listen. I'm amazed.
Quickly.
He's a young lad who listens to this religiously every week. Two old farts talking about shit, and this kid listens every week.
We don't talk about much shit.
He rucks for Mornington too. He plays in the second. Oliver Walsh.
Good on you,
ruckman, Oliver.
Walshy, good on you, Walshy. Anything else, quickly?
And his mother, no. I won't go into
that. No. She's not a MILF, is she?
No. I won't go into that.
You're not singling her out,
No.
Holy mackerel. You're not getting to his mother by giving him a shout-out, are you, Don?
No, I think Steve could be upset if I did.
Steve who?
That's her husband or his father.
Oh, that's fair enough, Don. Yeah. No, let's not get into that then. Now, Don, I got a phone call from Ian Cook while I was up in Bribie Island.
I was wondering how he's going.
Well, and I asked him how things are going. He said he has an announcement to make. Might have an announcement to make, and I said, "Oh wow, is good. This would be good. We're getting somewhere with the I Cook Food saga. You remember the government rorted them out of business illegally, dishonestly, and corruptly to put their own food processors in, called Community Chef." And he said, not necessarily, but he might have some things to tell us later on. So I mentioned Ian Cook because. The Andrews government, who are disgraceful in what they did to that man, Ian Cook, and also, Don, have a listen to this. Now. So these are the people. I'm glad. Do you remember? This is about. Do you remember when the Premier and the hapless Chief Health Officer Brett Sutton,
Professor,
who those two people incidentally were instrumental in running I Cook Foods out of business.
And also
that is a fact. Remember when the Premier said, if you take the booster, you will not catch COVID, therefore you will not pass it on to your family.
Yes,
this turned out to be a lie.
Yeah, so did Sutton. He said exactly the same.
So, the Premier contracted COVID soon after that and passed it on to his family, so that's so much for that. The Chief Health Officer, Mr. Sutton, or Professor, who one time declared we'd eliminated the virus in Victoria, at the cost of billions of dollars of the community shutting down in this city. Wait till I get on to Sally Kepp, the mayor. Now admits that the so-called vaccine doesn't work. These days, hundreds of elderly, immune-compromised or comorbid Australians I'm reading this, are dying of COVID each and every month, as they did with the flu. Remember when the Premier banned us from... now, this was my point. This is where the lie started. Remember when Dan banned playing golf in the swirling sea breezes that blow across the Cape Schanck courses because he said, if we can save one death from COVID by not playing golf, an absolute complete crock of shit. Now, with the election coming up in November, COVID is rampant. There's tens of thousands getting it every week. There's people dying from co-related illnesses. So they put that down to COVID deaths. It is extraordinary that we've put up with this, and someone should take him to task at the next election. So Don. So then we get on to Sally Kepp. Now, I don't want to be a killjoy, but I see Sally, the mayor, is going on a junket. It can be described as no other. Going on a junket over to Argentina to wait for this, to see how we can best attack climate change. What the mayor would have anything to do with climate change is beyond me, and how to get rid of graffiti because Singapore have no graffiti and they deal with it very strictly. And
no, but she's been to Singapore.
Hang on, Don. Why would you have to go to Argentina? The climate crisis is bullshit. How can a mayor do anything to do with climate? The climate thing is a rort, incidentally. A rort. When you've got Leonardo DiCaprio flying around on private jets lecturing people about how their emissions, wait till we get onto the bugs and the food that they reckon you should eat, insects, bugs, spiders, cockroaches, and they say that will severely reduce carbon emissions by eating bugs. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
What about if they just got rid of their cars for a day, and travelled wherever by public...
The jets.
That'd do emission. And what about having fewer showers?
They're private jets, Don. They lecture everyone and don't... did you see China was experiencing heat waves and they're running out of electricity and they're building, as we speak, by the 1,000, no, not by the 1,000, by the 100 new coal-fired power plants to create, for the middle classes and the people who have a standard of living, to create electricity. And you ask people to drive electric cars, and how do you charge them up? By coal power. So the mayor, Sally Kepp, don't want to be a killjoy. She's going over, why couldn't you get on a, a FaceTime or a Zoom call with the people in Argentina about climate change? It's got nothing to do with the mayor about climate change in this city. She can't do anything. And why couldn't you get the mayor of Singapore on the line and say, Mr. or Mrs. Mayor, how do you combat graffiti? And he says, I presume, thank you for the inquiry, Miss Kepp. What we do is we severely punish people and we fine them, and sometimes we deport them if they're not naturalised Singaporeans, and we stamp with a big fist, we stamp out graffiti. So why couldn't you do that over a Zoom call? When I was going to be the mayor, Don, I noticed all my policies that I put up, very simple policies. 1 was graffiti eradication, 2 was don't tolerate litter, 3 don't tolerate the homeless sleeping in doorways, but create a space for them, a proper space that is policed so that you can't have interlopers there. And do you notice that they're building refuges now over on the river? That was my suggestion. So they've adopted 3 of my suggestions. The next one was get strong, the coppers get strong, law and order, police enforcement of people who are antisocial. Now, they were my 4 things. Do you reckon I'm
Hang on,
ahead of the curve?
The police getting what, antisocial?
No, getting people who are antisocial.
What do you mean by that?
Well, who terrorise the neighbourhoods.
Oh, well, they commit crimes.
That's right. That's
Okay,
antisocial, Don.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it's being polite. And don't worry about gender, and don't worry about race, and don't worry...
Who, the police or the council?
Don't worry about singling out people who commit these heinous crimes of hijacking and antisocial behaviour. There's plenty of Caucasians that do it. There's plenty of people of African appearance who do it. There's plenty of other... Don't worry about being reticent to name who they are, because we're all one people. Which gets me onto the fact about being one people. My God. Has it become policy now? Has it become policy? Is it a law, or is people just...
Have they still got the Yarra Bank going? I used to go there when I was a young boy and listen to the speakers. Have they still got those little things where you can get up
soapbox?
and talk? No, they weren't soapboxes. They were mounds of dirt surrounded by rock, and you'd have all these different speakers. It was really quite entertaining. I was just thinking, that's what you need to do.
Well, Don,
a Sunday,
I'm doing
go
it here.
down to the Yarra Bank and talk.
Don, I'm doing it here with you.
I know you are.
Because, Don, this is what people...
This is your soapbox or your little mound of dirt.
So, did you... So I fly up to Bribie Island. I didn't know this. Mr. Joyce, their airline, did you know that when you land or you say, we're landing, welcome to the... What do they say? The inhabitants. They make mention of. I'm not good. I'm just saying. Is this crept into the lexicon? It says we want to. Where does it say this? It says the plane. It said we have landed. Where the fuck have I written this down? Simply. Jesus! Why can't I?
What,
read
some
this
country?
No, it
another
does.
Foreign country.
So we now give thanks to landing in the... we thank the traditional owners for the plane landing here or something.
Jeez, I'd be thanking someone else. The bloody thing landed.
They're the pilots for a start. Yeah, hang on, where have I written that down? Jesus, I'm hopeless. Anyhow, so now when you land, you're welcome to country by thanking people for landing the plane in... I presume maybe Sally Cap can go over and say that we're changing Australia Day to a different day because people are dissatisfied. Maybe the Jews
that
or the
really
Protestants or the Muslims can have maybe we could change it to suit their Australia Day or Christmas. Maybe we could change Christmas. Does everyone follow Christmas? Do the Jews and the Muslims and the Buddhists and they have Christmas on different? Why don't we change Christmas Day to the 25th of December to some other date that suits people? Why don't we do that? What do they say when they land the plane? God, strike me. I wrote this down.
Thank you for flying Ansett.
No, Ansett, you idiot.
Well,
Ansett. No, it says, come on, please, get yourself together here, boy. Mr. Joyce and Mr. Joyce, they say... Well, welcome to the country, and we thank the traditional owners for allowing us to land the plane. Is this just crept in?
Is there a smoking ceremony?
No, you're not allowed to smoke in the plane.
When you land,
is this crept in? And I was a captive audience watching the football. Do you know Fox now say, before the football, they thank the traditional owners?
What?
They made mention of...
What, on the telecast?
Yes.
Bullshit.
The First Nations people, good on them. What is this?
Fox do?
Fox say, we acknowledge the First Nations people, I presume, where the game's going to be played. I don't know. And then I watched...
Really?
So I watched... Oh, Christ, who did I watch? I watched St Kilda and Brisbane. And at the start of the game, now as this crept in, I have not watched the football, they exchanged, before the toss, they exchanged boomerangs.
Bullshit.
Don, and carved items.
Who were the two teams playing?
Brisbane and St Kilda.
Really?
They exchanged boomerangs. And I thought, so before every game now, do we exchange?
There must have been some significance to the game.
I don't know. I'm asking you, Don. I'm not necessarily knocking it. I'm just saying, has this... So everywhere you go now, there's signs up. Is this something that's crept in that is law, that you have to acknowledge every single thing you do?
I went to a meeting. I went to a meeting and they had a subcommittee meeting.
So I'm just asking you... I'm asking you, why do we have to... We are not patronising. I notice they say that on one of the reality shows, the Indigenous people cut up rough because they acknowledged that they were filming on their traditional land, and they said, oh, that's patronising, you don't have to do that. Why do we have to do it at all? We acknowledge we're here. What do you want us to do? Why do we keep saying it? This is the AFL. The AFL indirectly promote racism by that nonsense they went on with us, that absolute crap that they went on with us. They're just trying to square the circle of their own privilege by bloody having a go at us for discussing what Nicky Winmar did, and we said that he said he lifted his jumper and we accepted that. We said a hell of a lot of people thought it was something different, but we didn't necessarily think that. We accepted what he said, and we got charged with the most ridiculous shit just so that they could, their feigned indignation of, and yet they go on and they make more blues and they're more racist than any of the sensible conversations that we have, because we're not patronising, we treat people the same. And as soon as they started to do that, the better. And that clown of a man that runs this competition, isn't it amazing, Don?
He's taken over from Donald Trump with you.
Who has?
Gil.
Gil?
You were on with Donald Trump there for a long time. Now Gil's taken over. This is your Asperger's kicking in again.
Donald Trump? I tell you what a star that man is.
Oh, God.
Oh, all right. Well, anyhow, so Don. So Don.
Can we wind this up?
Do we want to wind it up?
Oh, like,
well, go on.
You're on a bloody...
Well, I'm just... This is what...
You're on a roll. Just steady down.
All right, steady down, Don. Do you want me to tell you about Bribey Island?
Well,
so...
Is that where the dingoes run?
Kangaroos in the streets.
What about dingoes?
Street and the kangaroos, Don.
Purebred dingoes?
Or is it
Stradbroke
Island? I don't know, but the kangaroos are in. I should wait till my son Max arrives. He will verify what I'm saying. So
what's wrong with the kangaroos in the main story?
Nothing.
Right, so what are you making comment about?
I wasn't knocking the kangaroos, Don. I was just saying at Bribey Island, there's kangaroos just roam the streets. And it's a very nice little place. And are they different people up there? Wow.
In what way?
Well, I'll tell you, Don. I'll tell you. So I go up to see my son who's turned 40, and I thought I'll buy him a suction vacuum cleaner for his pool. What do you think he'd have a suction cleaner for what, himself? So Don, I go into this company called Pool Works in Bribey Island.
Oh, there's one down here too.
I know, they're everywhere. They're a chain. I hope they hear this. So I go into Pool Works, and this dopey-looking bland woman. I can say that. Hang on. No, I'm going to say it's a woman because I'm going to give the man.
Don't call her dopey.
She was a bland-looking, sort of innocuous woman came out, and I said to her. I said to her, I am after a pool vacuum system cleaner, please, ma'am. And she said, oh, we've got one on the wall here. It was $3,500. It climbs up your wall of your pool. I said, it'd give you a blowjob, I reckon, if you paid an extra
She said this?
Not she wouldn't. The pool vacuum cleaner would. So I said to her, no, I don't want one that climbs up the wall because it's not a big pool. I just want one that roams around the bottom of the pool and sucks up shit. And she said... And I said, now, there's two on the wall here. What is
Who shits in the pool?
This one's got a wheel on it. I presume it propels itself along the floor, and this one had little fins on it. And I said to her, "What is the difference between these two models here?" And she said, "What do you reckon?" She said,
"She's a Queenslander, remember?"
"Yeah, what do you reckon?" She said, "What would you say if I said to you, what's the difference between these two models?" You'd say, "Well, one does this." She said, "No," she said, $250. I said, "Ma'am, I'm not worried. I want to know."
That's what I would have said, $250.
What? I said, why has one got fins and one got a wheel?
Well,
what's the difference?
It's $250 difference.
Well, wouldn't you want to know which one would be better, the wheel or the fins? So anyhow, she said, "Oh, well, one's got fins and the other's got a wheel." I said, "I can see that." And she said, "Well, I'll get the manager." So she walked out. And I waited for, I reckon, 4 minutes, which is a hell of a long time.
He might have been out fishing.
And she came back and she said, "You think I'm making this up?" She said, "The manager said if you want a cheaper model, go to Bunnings." I said, "What?" She said, "I don't want a cheaper model. I want to know what the difference between the fins and the wheel is." I said, go and get the manager. So out she went again. So
did she realise you were taking the piss out of her?
I wasn't taking the piss out.
You were.
I wasn't. And she said, so the manager came out, this man who was a regular shaped-looking little man, and he came out and he had north-south. He came out and
he wasn't impressive.
Yeah, and I said,
so we got a frumpy woman.
Not a frumpy, just staff.
Bland. And we got what type of man?
A cockeyed. He came out.
He was cockeyed.
No, he wasn't cockeyed, but he Andrew, I think his name was. I said, "Andrew," I said, "what's the difference?" He said, "One's got a wheel." I said, "Andrew, please, mate, please. Could you tell me which is more efficient?" And he said, "Why?" I said, "Why?" "Well, I'm buying it for my son." I went through it. I said, "I'm buying for my son. It's his birthday, and I'm buying him a present." He said, "All right." He said, "Now, do you want me to come and set it up?" I said, "I want to know which one to buy. I want to know which one to buy, Andrew." And he said,
"Is it a thriving business?"
"Well, Paul works in Bribey Island."
Is it?
I don't know. So then he said. Then he looked at me and he said, "No, you'll love this, Don." He said to me, Do I know you?" I thought, "Oh God, here we go." And he said, "Are you?" And I said, "I want my son," and I told him his name. I said, "He wants to become a client of yours because he wants you to service his pool." And he said, "What's his name?" I said, "Jordan Newman." And he said, I knew you."
What?
And what? The man said.
John or Sam?
He's Jordan Newman is my son, and when I said Newman, he said, "I know. I thought I knew you." I said, "Had you known before, would you have dealt with me?" Just joking, and he said, "Oh no, we deal with all sorts of people here." And I thought, "Oh, that's a nice how do you do." So anyhow, I said to him, so I said to him, "Okay, mate, Andrew, I think his name is Andrew." I said, "I'll buy the one with the wheel. Is that better than the one with the fins?" Having another crack at him, he said, "Oh yes, much better." I said, "Why didn't you tell me that in the first place?" So anyhow, so I paid.
So how long did this banter go on for?
So I wait for this, Don.
I hope you retell this story at the Colac Sportsman's Night this week.
You haven't heard the best part yet, Don. I get the vacuum suction box cleaner out into the car, and I drive it home, and I drop it round to Jordan. And I said, "Mate, happy birthday," and all that. And I said, "Let's see if we can hook it up." So I opened the box.
Well, there's nothing inside.
Nothing. Nothing. No, there's nothing inside, just the hoses. So I get on the phone. I get on the phone to him. This is on Saturday morning. I get on the phone to him and I said, "Andrew, do you remember me coming in?" He said, "Yes, I do." I said, "There's nothing in the fucking box, Andrew."
You didn't swear, surely.
I did. I said, "There's nothing in the..."
Well, you would have frightened him.
Why
wouldn't you be a little more diplomatic?
You haven't heard the best part. Well, Don, you've had this whole conversation. You get the whole package home. "Happy birthday, son," and there's nothing in the box. Jordan thought I was taking the piss. So I ring him up. I said, "Andrew," I was very polite. I said, "Andrew."
Oh, polite, you bloody...
I said, "There's nothing in the fucking box, Andrew." I said, "Would it be possible?" He said, "I'll tell you where it is. It's up on the display wall. That's the one you were looking at." I said, you wouldn't have realised.
Faulty Towers.
I said, you wouldn't have realised that, Andrew. He said, well, looking back, he said, yeah, I should have put it in the box. I said, you certainly should have, Andrew, seeing as I've paid for it. So I said, would it be possible? I'm only asking you this politely. And it's not really a question, it's rhetorical. Would it be possible to get the and bring it round forthwith? Hoping he would say yes, it would be. If he said no, I would have said, stay right there, Andrew. I'm coming round and I'm going to drive my car through your front window. No, I didn't say that. So anyhow, in fairness, so I said to him, and Andrew, could you possibly tell me when you're going to drop it off? Because I'm not far from where my son lives, and I will meet you, and you can tell me is it appropriate and how to hook it up. So I go back and I say to Jack and Max, and I said, my two other sons, I said, I've just got to go around to Jordan's place. I won't be a minute. So I waited for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour.
It's a fair way, obviously.
I just waited where we were staying. I didn't have to
that's
rush
a long way.
because Andrew had to get the thing and drive a fair way. So I get round to Jordan. I said, now, Jordan, I've come here to meet Andrew. He said, no, he's been and gone. I said, he's what? I said, I specifically asked him to tell me.
This is like Faulty Towers.
He said, I think you've frightened him. I said, frightened him? How could I frighten him? I want to do business with him. I've bought a fucking vac machine from him. It wasn't in the box. I asked him politely to come round. Well, he's dropped it off. So do you reckon we'll be doing, or Jordan will be doing any business with Andrew again?
Yes.
We've gone to another pool company.
What, there's another one on Bribey?
Well, not quite as close, bit more in
what, back in Brisbane?
No, at
Caboolture.
Is it Caboolture?
Yeah, they got the showgrounds there.
Or Bungarra.
No, there's Caboolture.
Oh no, well the Bungarra. Anyhow, so
Redcliffe.
This is a place called
Redcliffe.
This is a place called Aquamarine or Aqua something. So, it's pool works, fair income. They got to adjust their staff and adjust their way they deal with the public. You couldn't believe it, but that's.
Are you going to relate this story when you do the Sportsman's Night at Colac?
No, that's not.
Why not?
So have you ever driven, Don? Have you ever driven a hybrid car? Now listen to this. So we get to the airport. We get to the airport when we
You're
arrive.
full of stories.
No, you'll love this. We get to the airport when we arrive, and we rent a Toyota Kluger. So I'm driving. I give him a license, and we get in, and you put the key there, and you press the button, and nothing wouldn't start. So I pressed it, and Max said, "You got your foot in the brake?" I said, "Yeah, I got it." I nearly pushed it through the firewall, and I pressed it again. I said, "They've given us a fucking car with the battery flat." So I try to look for the number of the company I rented.
You had a good time, pool.
No,
works.
hang on. I couldn't find the number, luckily.
So who's this? We give this company a serve
No,
too.
no, it's not their fault. So this was Hertz. So anyhow, no, it's not. So.
Oh, geez,
I'm sitting there and I'm starting.
I think we'll be off air. I hope you got plenty of money.
I'm starting to get annoyed, Don. So I said, they've given us a fucking car with the battery doesn't start. So I'm jiggling and Max said, put it in drive. And I said, put it in drive? You can't put it in drive if the engine's not on. And he said, and I'm jiggling it round, and suddenly it hit D, which is drive, and the car lurched forward. And I said, it's going. And we suddenly realised that the battery.
Why didn't you let Max drive it?
He didn't know.
Well, he did. He just said put it in drive, and it lurched forward.
And I started.
So you're a control freak. If you let the boys take over.
No, so I put it in, and the thing went, and I said, well, there's a trap if you've never driven it. Don't you want to know when you start the car, you hear the engine? But all you did is turn the battery on.
Yeah.
So that got us. I'm glad I didn't ring the Hertz bloke up and say, "Hey mate, you've given us a car with the battery flat.
Don't you think you're getting a little old and you should succumb to youth?"
I've never driven a hybrid car.
That's right, but obviously the boys have.
No, they'd never. Max didn't know.
Well, he said put it in drive.
No, he said, why don't you put it in drive just to try it? And I said, well, you can't put an automatic car in gear if the engine's not going. He didn't know.
Yeah, but they stop. You realise that. The engine cuts out.
The engine didn't even start.
But it's already it's charred, ready to go.
I know. I didn't know that, Don. I thought when you pressed the button, the engine would start and you'd hear it.
It's like battery-operated machines.
Oh, battery bullshit.
I use them.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, well, I use them for work, battery-operated machines, and that's how they work. You put them in drive and away they go.
Did you know? So anyhow, we go up in Mr. and Mr. Joyce's airline. It was very nice. And honestly, the people, I know this, they might think we're different. They are so different. And the service.
Who? Queenslanders?
Where we were on Bribie Island.
Queensland people are terrific. They're so laid back.
So laid back that they've forgotten the service industry actually exists.
It teaches you to just come down a level or two.
What? And wait.
Well, just relax.
Have a ridiculous conversation in a shop
you're
called
operating on overdrive.
Poolworks.
You're operating on overdrive.
So now Max is just going to arrive. I don't know that I need him to verify this.
No, please.
Why don't we just see if he backs up my story?
No, I've heard enough.
All right. Well, we'll close this off now and we'll, all right?
Oh, thank God for that.
Righto.
We'll have a sensible conversation next segment.
Here we go.